Hello. Hello and welcome back to SparkleDart. We're in a little bit of a situation here. I want to catch this little man. I think he looks cool. I think he looks like a cool dude, a cool boy. A boy I'd love to go hang out with. Go down to the beach, pick up some chicks, some babes, some cute feminitas, and just have a day with it, even though I don't live here. And I can't date them, obviously, because continuing a relationship with somebody like this who I met on the beach, and then I didn't know that they actually wound up living a couple of blocks away from me and going to the same high school. And it turns out that we both were singing in the cafeteria about how much we loved each other during the summer, and then the guy was singing about how he just wanted to get laid, and the girl was singing about how sweet the guy was. And then every one of their friends was hanging on every one of the word, because that's how these sorts of things tend to play out, I think, in the real world. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was just more along the lines of me and my friend Jimmy went down to a barbecue joint that was on the beach, and we had a lot of fun there, and then we ate all the chili fries that they had. They had like 3 different kinds. We ate those. And then they had this famous house sauce, which is why we went there in the first place, is because we wanted to try the house sauce that they had, the barbecue sauce that was made with ghost peppers, and they were claiming that it was like the hottest sauce in the city that you could buy. And then I ate it. I'm like, this is not spicy at all. The jalapeno sauce that you have right next to it, I think, is a lot spicier. And I kind of feel like what you're doing is false advertising, and maybe you think that what you're saying is true, but honestly, I don't think it is true. And if you're going to try to tout this around as being true, I guess I'm just going to have to take your word for it, because that's just kind of what we do here. Is we respect our fellow man and the things that they tell us, and if they're lying, or whether or not they're lying or telling the truth, you just kind of have to go off of that. Like when someone says that they have the best barbecue joint in Kansas City, you just kind of have to assume that they're not yanking your chain, because then you go there and then you read it, and there's a huge line at the door of people waiting to get in there and eat, and then you finally get in there, sit down, and then you're like, this isn't that good. I waited outside of the store in the backed up line for about 30 minutes, and as it turns out, this food that you're serving us just isn't that good, and I don't understand why people think it's like. I've had good barbecue. I've made barbecue better than this at home. I made my own homemade sauce with brown sugar and molasses and stuff like that, and then it was real good, and we had a day with it, and we just had leftovers for the whole week that we took to work in little plastic baggies. Even though I didn't have a lunch box at the time, I had to go buy one, and the only one that they had available was one from the Salvation Army that had a picture of Shaquille O'Neal on it. It was him when he was in that movie with the genies, Kazam or Shazam or something like that, and it was like, well, that's a real good lunchbox. It looks like it's good, and Shaquille O'Neal's on the cover. And actually, you know what? As of a couple days ago, rest in peace Kobe Bryant, rest in peace Prince, rest in peace Alan Rickman. Just rest in peace, guys. Just rest in peace. That's all I'm gonna say. Is that you have to live a life to the fullest. You have to be happy with who you are, happy with where you are in life, and then when life is taken away from you, grabbed away by a cold, bony finger, or maybe several bony fingers, because hands have entire fingers on them, like 5 of them normally. You're not so dissatisfied with how your life turned out, because you think for whatever reason that life is it's fleeting. You don't think that. I'm just saying this now. Life is fleeting, right? So if you're not living a life that you're comfortable with, then you have to pick up everything now and then just do some reevaluation. You're going to school to make yourself a better person, and since you haven't lived and functioned in the real world, then you don't really know the importance of college. Since you've been going to high school for so long, you just are getting sick of the whole school education thing, and you think to yourself, maybe I'll just not spend... I'm so sick. I'll just not spend as much time on education as I should, and then it'll come back to bite me in the ass later when I drop out, and then I go to a community college and I just wind up getting my associate's degree. For whatever reason, I think that that's an acceptable compromise to the 4-year degree I was going to get in psychology, so I could be a doctor or psychologist or whatever, and it just didn't turn out for me in the end, because that's just not how I chose to live my college life. It was just too much for me to handle, I guess. right? Okay. It was just too much for me to handle, and I can understand that. I can honestly, I can sympathize. It makes sense to me. It's just not something that I can say that I condone. If you're going to school right now, props to you. You're making a difference to yourself, your life, and the whole world around you in the future someday. I hope so. You make the world spin longer, or whatever it is you hope to accomplish by living in college town. Now, your old pal SparkleDart went to college, and I didn't graduate with a degree in computer science like I was talking about before. I wound up graduating with my associates like I was joking about, like that was supposed to be a joke, but I was actually reflecting on my own experience, and it hurts. Don't bring it up. I'm over it. I don't care that you don't agree with me, but I did get my high school diploma, and I think that's a lot more than a lot of people can say. Like, there's a lot of people out there, specifically in the 10 to 17 range, who don't have a high school diploma, and I think that's really disgusting, because honestly, you should get that as early as you can in life, as early as possible, so you can start planning for your future now. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, or if you've already grown up and you still don't know what you want to do, just consider moving out into the forest and living amongst the gorillas, because they're a very accepting bunch. If you've ever seen the movie Tarzan, they let the little boy stay with them, and then they were like, this is fine. I don't care that he doesn't have hair like we do with gorillas. We're very xenophobic people, but for whatever reason, this little boy, he really clicked with us. He really made an effort to get to know us, and that's kind of why we don't like humans, is because they don't treat us as equals. They don't make the effort to get to know us. We've got a lot of emotional depths as gorillas, and the thing is, like, for example, I'm a gorilla. My name is Smacky. That's a gorilla name, right? Probably, or does it have to be something like Aboriginal? Like Darangoziti. That's the least stupid thing I've ever said, probably. I hope. I don't know. I'm a gorilla named Darangoziti, and because of that, I like to get to know people before like I was saying, my mother passed away when I was little, and then I was just raised by my father, who left me with the other mother gorillas for a while. And since gorillas are such nice people, they don't have to work jobs because they live in a forest. If you live in a forest, you don't have to get a job. That's the one part about living in a forest I think that you should really take into consideration, is that you don't have to work a 9 to 5, and you don't have to pay rent on those trees that you live in. You make nests with other gorillas. The only downside is that they can swing from branches and shit, and you can't, because you're. So here's the thing: is humans. I'm going to talk about evolution for a second. If you don't believe in evolution, just close your ears and start going la 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 la. Okay, so evolution says that humans evolved from a common ancestor with some apes and stuff like that, and you're thinking to yourself, well, if we evolved from apes and apes climb on trees, and why can't we climb on trees? And here's the reason behind that is because, like chimpanzees, their muscles, they got big muscles, they can rip off car doors from, cars and stuff like that, because they're strong, and their muscles are built for strength instead of precision. Now, human muscles are built for precision. That's why you can handle a pencil. A chimpanzee could never write his name, Bobo, in cursive writing, because he can't handle a pencil, because that's just not how his body was built. Now, you might see some chimpanzees, they can use paintbrushes and stuff like that, but that's not really the same thing. Making broad strokes is not the same thing as making precision strokes. Like elephants, they can paint too, but elephants don't even have hands. They just kind of write with their trunks, They pick up the brush, dip it in the red paint, start making swoops. They dip it in the yellow paint, start making orange swoops, and then they dip that in the blue paint, and then they start making black swoops, because that's how elephants do. They don't wash off their brush tips when they're done with it. They just keep on painting, and you might think to yourself, well, that's a very inconvenient way to make art, and you have to realize, of course, that you are talking to an elephant. He doesn't know any better. He's never been in a situation whereby he was able to be taught the finer aspects of art by Da Vinci or Michelangelo or Gandhi, or, one of those guys. I don't know. It's just not something that typically happens in real life. Elephants being taught how to do art. They just kind of pick it up. Most artists say that they went to school, they were always in school and they were always doodling on the notebooks, and then the teacher said don't do that because you have to be paying attention in class, and they're like, well, what if I want to be an artist? And then they'll be like, you have to pay attention in class, you have to know the difference between acids and bases, and I'm not going to explain this to you twice, I'm going to take away your notebook if you keep doing that. And then I'll be like, well, if you take away my notebook, I'm not going to be able to take notes and learn the difference between acids and bases. And then they'll be like, yes, but at the very least you won't be drawing and distracting my class. And then I'll be like, well, I wasn't distracting your class because I was drawing and I was in my own world and nobody was paying attention to me, I wasn't talking to anybody, I was just sitting there minding my own business, and you made this a big thing, and now I'm going to get my dad involved, and he is a lawyer, and he will sue you for taking away the school supplies that he bought for me with his own money, his lawyer money. Listen, that notebook that you're holding there, Teach, was bought with lawyer money, and if you don't want to give it back, that's fine, that's up to you, that's completely up to you, and I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, obviously, because I'm 10, and I don't know how to do your job any better than you do, and you've been doing this for like, what, 40 years now, and you think that you just know everything since you've had so many students come through here and learn things that maybe you thought that they would never, like, they would never internalize in the future, they would never make it known that they are trying to better themselves. But if somebody wants to be an artist, then who are you to tell them that they can't be an artist? That's kind of what I'm saying, that's my point, that's the point down to its very, like, basics. And, you know, that's just kind of how I feel about the whole thing, is people always told me I couldn't be an artist, and look at me now, I'm not an artist. You know why? Because nobody believed in me. Because they think, well, it's okay if you want to be an artist on the side as like a hobby or something, because that's fine. People, but you can't make a living as an artist, because why would you be able to? Nobody's gonna buy your work. It's all garbage, and that's a very discouraging way to talk to a child who has a hobby or a passion or something like that. Because obviously some hobbies don't lead you anywhere, like video games or reading books or skateboarding. They don't lead you anywhere, unless your name is Tony Hawk, of course. But if you're an artist, there's been plenty of great artists in history. There's been like Michelangelo, like I said, Da Vinci, but there was never any great Name one great skateboarder that came out of the 1800s. Yeah, I don't think you can. So, ha, I'm laughing at me. That's how I laugh. What was I going on about? I don't even remember. Anyways, yeah, so just, you know, encourage children to pursue their hobbies and don't tell them not to do them, because then they'll think that they're wrong for drawing on their notebook, and then they'll think that they're wrong for drawing at home, and they'll think that they're wrong for drawing lottery numbers and then trying to like make something of themselves someday, and then they'll wind up in a desk at a desk job, just kind of sitting there with their thumbs twiddling back and forth, waiting for that clock to hit 5 so that they can go home and open up a Bud Light and unwind and watch Mario or whatever it is that they like to watch, Grey's Anatomy. I don't know what parents watch these days. It's not something I've kept tabs on. I haven't kept tabs on what do parents watch these days. I don't fucking know. Why are you asking me? That's a stupid question to ask somebody like SparkleDart. Okay, so that's really all I'm saying. So, anyways, I think I'm gonna end this episode now. So thank you for sticking around. That was a rant. I hope to pick it up in the future and be less angry, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So anyways, thank you for watching. SparkleDart. Goodbye. Mwah.